righty. So, good evening. And I am Anna. I'm going to repeat it. I forgot to hit the live button. But I'm Anna. I'm a retired school teacher, a health consultant, an administrator, an educational consultant, a certified cake decorator, as well as a jewelry consultant. And the purpose of this podcast is to help you maintain a healthier lifestyle, not just individually, but as a whole, well being for the whole family. So if you have not started that process, then I would suggest you do. We all want to live a healthier lifestyle. So today, I am going to be talking to you a little bit about transformational coaching, and we have a special guest. You're gonna just love her. I'm gonna be partial because she is my sorority sister, okay? But she is full of knowledge and wealth that she can share with you this evening, and you know that is my purpose. So I have a little presentation that I want to do before I bring her on because this is my agenda for this evening. We're going to talk about what is transformational leadership, who developed it. It's something that's very, very new if you look at the research. Um, identifying factors of transformational leadership, and then I'm going to bring on our speaker. So let's get going. So, what is transformational leadership? Well, it's a leadership style that empowers people to accomplish positive change through the vision, inspiration, and a call to action. And believe it or not, this started in the 1970s and the 80s. This is when it became, I guess, to be solidified. I just know during that time I was in college, and they must have been really, really, I guess, really, really new at that. But it was brought on by James V. Downing. He coined the term transitional leadership and rebel leadership commitment, and I believe, and charisma in the revolutionary process. And I believe that's a book or a paper that he wrote. After that, other people picked up on it. James McGregor and Bernard Bass. Those are two key players in the development of the leadership role. And so, if you notice, last week I talked about the different types of coaches, and I did mention this coach here. Um, and so, you know that leadership is not something that takes on a one size fit all. We all know that. And there are many different types of leadership styles people may choose from, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. However, research is showing that transformational leadership is one of the most effective at bringing about a lasting change. And believe it or not, you probably already know some transformational leaders. Henry Ford was a transformational leader. Not only he made the automobile more affordable through innovation, but raised wages, cut down working hours, and provided health benefits. Ford was not alone in his transformational leadership. Others, such as the civil rights leader, Martin Luther King, advertising legend, David Ogilvy, and the technology magnate, Steve Jobs, demonstrated the powerful effect transformational leadership has. Over time, leaders who guide their followers this way have become synonymous with innovation, progress, and moderni- modernized. As you learn about transformational leadership, you'll understand what skills and strengths you need to inspire others to change the world. You'll also learn from some of the best examples of transformational leaderships throughout the history. So today, I hope that you take away from this podcast that people who follow transformational leaders report higher levels of well-being. Transformational leadership is a driving force behind many of the positive changes in this world. Transformational leaders need to have a positive vision of the future. And what's so important is that anyone can become a transformational leader. Servant leadership goes hand in hand with transformational leadership. So, I'm just going to give you a listen. Transportational leadership is, let me move my slide. Okay. There are 4 identifying factors about transportational leadership. It influences, idealized influences, it's inspiring leadership, intellectual stimulation, and it's an individualized consideration. So, with that being said, I'm going to take a brief commercial, and I am going to come back and I'm going to introduce our guest, Rhea Ray Harris Yarborough. I did not change that slide, and I apologize. I forgot about it. But anyway, let's take this commercial break, and when I come back, I'm going to introduce her and bring her to the forefront. She's going to tell you some things, some positive things here. So just hold on. Let me get it going.
Hi, can you hear me? Miss Anna?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
All
can
right.
hear you
All
now.
right, let me introduce our special guest this evening. This is Rhea Harris, and she was born and raised in Chicago. She graduated from Whitney Young High School and the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where she pledged Sigma Gamma Rho. Yep. And she is also a life member. After retiring from her 30 plus years career as a Cook County adult probation officer, she became a full time entrepreneur. Currently, she is a licensed realtor in Illinois and Indiana and Punta Cana, a published author, the founder of the National Directory of the Beyond the Beautiful World Pageant, and the CEO of Dust to Daybreak Transformational Speaking and Coaching Unlimited. We got a couple of comments up here. Let's see who it is. All righty. So, Miss Dr. Tina Ramsey is saying hello. So,
I'm Dr. Ramsey.
I I've told her all about you now.
Thank you.
All right. So, Rhea, I want you to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself. How you came about becoming a coach, and just a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Great. Firstly, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to be on your show this evening. I certainly appreciate it. And again, my name is Rhea Ray Harris. I am a licensed realtor, as she said. I am the founder, creator, and national director of the Beyond a Beautiful World pageant, which is in its third year. I am an author. I have a new book coming out this summer. This will be my first non real estate related book, and the tentative title is Girl Bye 10 Lies Women Tell Themselves. And I am the CEO of Dusk to Daybreak Transformational Coaching and Speaking International. I decided a long time ago, because of my family background, to not just work a job, but to diversify and have some passion projects that would then become businesses. My family was involved with real estate, probably about almost 90 years ago. My great grandparents actually bought property in a Chicago neighborhood at that time that was not the most welcoming to Black people, and they bought income property. So my father followed suit and bought multiple pieces of income property himself. And that's where my love for real estate came from. I have always, always, always been a pageant fan. I watched any pageant, the local ones on WGN Channel 9 in Chicago, all the way through the international pageants. I was actually at a young age, about 9-ish, coordinating pageants. My godmother had 6 girls and 1 son. So my godbrother was the reluctant MC, and my god sisters were my pageant contestants. And about 10 years ago, the words that God gave me were beyond beautiful. I had no idea what they meant, but they kept coming back to mind. And about 2017, he gave me the vision of the pageant, because I understood that women in this world tend to uphold everyone and everything but themselves. And I created the pageant as a celebration of womanhood, as a safe place to speak your truth, to encourage and assist with leadership skills, and to give a platform for women's advocacies. So that is some of the foundational information about the Beyond Beautiful World pageant. After being a probation officer for over 32 years, I spent my entire adult life in my career for that segment. I was clear in understanding that a lot of being a probation officer for me was being a coach, being a life changing agent in some people's lives who found out that the world was stacked against them and was seeking for them to not succeed. And it was my goal to show them that despite all the obstacles, they could not just succeed in basic things, but they could strive for bigger, a different life. And they could be a success at that. So once I retired, I looked at how I felt about encouraging my clients and transformed that desire to women. So, my primary audience as a transformational coach is women. And my goal is to be a mindset changing agent. And by that, I mean, I want women to understand themselves, appreciate themselves, and elevate themselves to the life that they deserve. So often we talk about fear of failure, which is a real thing. But a lot of women have also the fear of success. They are concerned about what happens if I make it. Do I leave my old friends behind? Do people look at me differently? How do I manage the change in my life? And so those conversations have to be had so that we don't shortchange ourselves with fear of failure, of not making it, as well as fear of success of making it.
Ooh, those are some powerful words, but very, very truthful. A lot. I'm a firm believer that most people are afraid of the unknown,
Absolutely.
and the unknown, it can be success. It can
Yes.
be success. But you hit a button when you said you were always into pageants, because I was too. I still watch pageants. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And the thing about it is, I try to decide who the winner is. I be writing down the little names.
Taking scores.
Yeah,
Taking scores.
yeah. So I do that. But I also wanted to ask you, um, Cleo, do you remember there used to be a lady? She did, I guess she did modeling. She's a black lady. Her name was Cleo. She had Cleo Modeling School. I think she had a pageant too, as well. And then the Miss Black Illinois pageant. I was once involved in that, not as a contestant, but when I was selling a product and I was, displaying the product to the constituents there. But yeah, I love the pageants. I'm with you on that. Okay, so
Absolutely.
I am glad to hear that about the trans see my mind go transformational coach. I'm glad to hear about that because we need that. We need that, and you can see that it's most of the people here can see that it is very, very, very uh, new in the research that they have done for that. Even in the regular coaching, I noticed that. Doing this podcast has really been an enlightenment for me as well as the research that I have done. It has, God, it has done a lot of things to bring light into my head on what should be going on. So, if someone wanted to, say, for instance, wanted to be in the pageant, what would they have to do?
To be a pageant delegate, they would go to our website, www.beyondbeautifulworld.com, and you would apply for your local title. So, for example, we have four different age categories. We have the diamonds, which are 21 to 29 years old, the rubies, which are 30 to 39 years old, the emeralds that are 40 to 49-year olds, and the sapphires who are 50 and older. And once you submit your application, you would get a full title. So, for example, if I was the first applicant in the Sapphire age group, I would be Beyond Beautiful World Sapphire, Illinois. You
Okay.
would get your crown, your sash, your crown pin, and then you represent for your local title. The third annual Beyond Beautiful World pageant is being held November 3rd and 4th in Country Club Hills, Illinois at the Atrium, 4143 183rd Street. Now, Friday night is not open to the public, but Saturday night is. And we have optional areas of competition as well as mandatory areas. The mandatory areas of competition are the opening dance number, which I make sure I can do it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Seriously.
Okay.
Then we have the fun fashion, which is a display of your personality through your attire. We have the evening gown, which is self explanatory, and we have the onstage question and answer period. The foundational piece that is mandatory is the Phoenix Rising testimonial area of competition. This is a 3-minute conversation about something that each delegate has achieved, overcome, or a combination of both. Because what we find is when someone speaks their truth, another person's light shines brighter and they affect someone with their testimonial that they may never see because people are able to watch virtually. We have virtual tickets as well as in person. Now, our optional areas of competition are talent. As long as it's no smoke, fire, or live animals, we're fine. We also have Living My Life Like It's Golden, which is a fashion interpretation of that statement being in gold attire from head to toe, and the Black Pearl Pitch Competition, which is for entrepreneurs. Any delegate that has a for profit business, wants to start a for profit business, has a not for profit organization, or wants to start one, would literally do a Shark Tank style presentation 2 to 3 weeks before the actual pageant and present themselves in front of a panel of judges who would then determine which of the delegates is the winner. And the winner will be announced the night of the pageant. So we encourage women's entrepreneurship. We encourage women's testimonies about their own lives. They also each have an advocacy, a cause for which they champion, and we encourage leadership skills. We have workshops twice a month via Zoom for our delegates, some dealing with the pageant details themselves, but
Mhm.
some dealing with life details. How do you become a more effective leader? How do you get over your fear of public speaking? Because these are things that are going to carry you past the pageant and into your future. So that is the difference between the Beyond Beautiful World pageant and so many other pageants.
Mhm.
We also foster sisterhood because I tell each delegate, you are not competing against any lady on this stage.
Mhm.
You are your only and own competition, and you are striving to be the best woman that you can be that night.
Okay.
That's it.
Do you have any other people from other states? Can they participate if they wanted to?
Absolutely. We have actually one of our sapphires this year is from Georgia,
Okay.
and we are recruiting actually nationwide. So they would come in that Thursday or Friday, be ready to do the first part of the pageant Friday night and then the main pageant Saturday night. And then they can fly back out Sunday. We have a room block at a hotel. So we are prepared for delegates locally and nationwide to be delegates.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's it. And it looks like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have taken that trans the transformational coaching and kind of applied it to the beyond pageant. So you've
Yes,
incorporated some of those skills and techniques. You're really trying to make them become innovative and see their own self-worth, you know.
that is actually the reverse because I started the pageant
First,
not first.
okay.
Technically, it was first. But you're right. In my speaking with my clients over my career as an adult probation officer, was dealing with decades differences in ages. Some of my clients were as young as 17, some of them were as old as 75. And I had men and women, as well as people that were transgendered. And my goal for all of them was the same: to not let your past dictate your future. And that conversation led to so many breakthroughs and so many changes and so many positive transformations. But I did not formalize that under the banner of the Dusk to Daybreak Transformational Coaching and Speaking International organization until late last year. So the pageant technically preceded the transformational mindset coaching and speaking, but the gist of both of them started well before. Like the pageantry started 9 years old. And my god brother now still rolls his eyes when he sees me. He's like, mm.
You
But
must be making him
definitely,
work.
that's right. Work it, sir. But I'm so grateful to have the opportunity now to make a change in not just my life, but to assist other women in making that change that they seek in theirs. My main tagline is: you can achieve anything you want if you want it enough.
Amen.
Because I'm the first to tell people, I promise you, I want to lose these 15 pounds, but not enough that I'm not going to eat that cookie every now and then. So I'm getting there, but I'm getting there slower if I was a little more dedicated. But I didn't want it enough to sacrifice everything. But there are some things that I do want enough that I've given my all. I've borrowed the rest and done all I could to
Mhm.
make it happen. Those are the things that make it worth your getting up in the morning and making it through your day. And those are the things I want people to discover about themselves. What is it that makes you the woman that inside that you want to bring out? Who is that woman?
Mhm.
What does she want to achieve? How does she want to show up in the world? What respect level does she command and demand? How do you operate for yourself and for others? And get a clear understanding of who you are as a woman first,
Mhm.
and then who you are to everyone and everything else.
Yeah. Well, it's all to me. It's all about self care, and that's basically what um, you're talking about: taking care of yourself, being positive, thinking great things of yourself, thinking that you can achieve these things. I'm a firm believer in that as well. Now I'm going to jump a little bit on something else.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you are an author and you
Yeah.
also are a realtor. So you know people out here looking for houses and everything. So what can you kind of tell us about the real estate business?
I am licensed in Illinois and Indiana. I primarily work the south side of Chicago and the south suburbs and northwest Indiana. What I would tell people as a buyer, because I represent buyers and sellers,
Hmm.
as a buyer, be very aware of what it is you want in a home, firstly. And before you get deep into looking, get your finances in order. Get your pre approval, pay off some of those extra expenses, make sure that you have not just the home of your dreams, but that it's not a home of your dreams that winds up stressing you out financially later.
Right.
Have an emergency fund. So, God forbid, if anything happens, you can pay for it. A couple of winters ago, and it was January in Chicago. My furnace went out. And you know what January in Chicago can be like. And it was rough that day. And
Hmm.
it was rough that week. And had my husband and I not had that emergency fund, I don't know what that would have looked like. You know, you're looking at the possibility of burst pipes and a whole
Yeah.
bunch of other problems that come from that. So if you don't have the home warranty, which I do advise you research before purchasing because they are not all equal, they're not all the same. You definitely need to also have an emergency fund. You have to be prepared for home ownership. I found out early in my real estate career that a lot of people wanted a house but did not know what that meant. They didn't understand all the bills associated with it, all the maintenance associated with it, and got caught off guard. So I definitely, for buyers, ask that you do those things and research your realtor. There are realtors that have niches. For example, there are realtors that are really exceptional at working with people that want to purchase condos. If you're looking for a condo, and that means negotiating with the homeowners association and the property management, et cetera, you want a realtor that knows that process. So find someone that is familiar with the demographics that you want. As a seller, you want a realtor that's going to A, tell you the truth. I know your childhood home is dear to you, but the market says it's only worth $195,000. Don't buck and say, I want 300. I'm not going to give away Mima's house because you're going to typically be sorely disappointed. Also, find a realtor that will look through your home and, with the assistance in some cases of a home inspector prior to putting it on the market, telling you those repairs that you need to make that will save you a lot of time and problems if a contract comes through, as well as can increase the value of your home because you may have some new things there. Find those small updates that you can do that don't cost a lot but add value. A paint job does wonders. I'll never forget, I showed a client a house, and that owner had to love Prince more than Prince loved himself because he had 5 different shades of purple walls. And I appreciate that when it's your house, but when you're selling it, you need to be a little more neutral unless you find another Prince lover. And she was just overwhelmed with the purple. So that's something that the realtor will tell you. And if you trust your realtor, you'll listen. So, basic things, lawn care, just what is your curb appeal for your property? Are you being realistic with what it is you're seeking? And are you really ready to move? I've had clients that had a house on the market and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go stay with so and so," and then that fell through. Where are you going? you know, what's
Right.
happening? Because now this house is under contract, it's going to be sold. You have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So getting your plans in order because it's not fun trying to scramble at the last minute.
No, it is not. And I can relate to the furnace because, I'm a homeowner, but mine was a little different. I had a pipe to burst.
Ugh,
I traveled. I left and went down south for about 5 months. And when I came back, a pipe had burst because the battery in the thermostat went out.
yes,
Okay. And so, even though my daughter was kind of doing my house, she stays in Indiana. And so she did not come back often enough. And but it was in February. And like you said, and so I'm in the process still now of getting all of that done. They had to gut out the whole thing and everything. It is a
right.
process. It is a process. It is a process.
That's right.
Uh, uh, so you got to be ready. That's all I can say. or put it in the hands of the Lord, either way, you know. So those are some good, that's some good advice. What about you talked about a little bit about the seller, right? Or the buyer.
I talked about the seller and the
And the
buyer.
buyer. Okay. So any other advice or anything you want to kind of like share with us?
I am a fan of doing your own updates. And by that, I mean for buyers. I would rather a buyer purchase a home that needs to be changed versus buying one that has already been rehabbed. Not because, and I have seen some bad rehabs, let's not act like I haven't, but I feel that when you do your own rehab, not only do you work with people that you trust and know, but you are putting your personal style into the home compared to buying someone else's style.
Right, right.
So I love to see that. And for sellers, I really appreciate, like I said, those small touches and staging in a lot of cases that gives a buyer the understanding of what the house could be.
Okay.
Paint, making sure your flooring is nice, those small things carry a lot of weight. So, and making sure that foundationally your house is sound.
Hmm.
If I see a big crack in your basement wall, we are running out of the door because that's a problem.
That's the
So,
foundation.
yeah, that's a foundational issue. So, those type of things should be addressed by the seller before you put that house on the market so that it won't come up later.
Hmm. Oh, that's. I'm hoping everyone is enjoying this. We do have a few listeners here. They're not making any too many comments
It's
here.
okay.
It is.
Sometimes all you need to do is
It was
hear and operate. That's right. Listen and operate.
That's right. That's it. So I do want to. I'm just going to pause for just one moment. I'm going to take another commercial break,
Yes, ma'am.
and then I am going to come back. Tony, let me put this down here because Tony is saying that this is very, very important. I guess they must have heard me.
Thank you, Tony.
But he's saying it's very, very helpful. So we're going to take another commercial break, and then we will be right back to talk a little bit more.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.
Okay, we are back.
Yes, ma'am. We are back.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to you. I want you to stay around. Oh, one other thing I want you to talk about because it's coming up, I believe, this Saturday.
Yes.
Yes, I want you to tell people what you're going to be doing this Saturday.
Part of my transformational coaching and speaking business is my masterclass conversation component. And so I do that monthly, virtually or in person, about various topics. And this Saturday, the topic is From Victim to Volunteer to Victorious, a domestic violence survivor's story. And it's my story. And I am telling about my life as a woman going through the dating world and what I experienced that led to this testimony. And to have that conversation with women about their lives and really understanding things like red flags,
Mm-hmm.
really looking at themselves about what motivates what they are doing and the choices that they made. and knowing that it is okay. There is no shame in having made a mistake.
Mhm.
The shame is in staying in it
Thank you.
and giving them inspiration to, depending on their circumstances, leave a situation that does not suit their needs.
Mhm.
And let me say this, I'm speaking as a woman about it, but women are not the only victims of domestic violence. Men are victims, children are victims, seniors are victims. Domestic violence is about a familial relationship or a dating relationship.
Mhm.
And so there are so many people that are impacted, but I am speaking from my personal story. So you can go to eventbrite.com and get a complimentary ticket to From Victim, the number two, Volunteer, the number two, Victorious, a domestic violence survivor's story. Because that's one of the things I talk about in my transformational coaching and speaking business. I speak about revealing your purpose, your plan,
Could
and I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
could you
you, Miss
put that
Anna.
could you put that in the chat for the viewers?
Yes, I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you.
But yes, revealing your purpose, your plan, and your passion. I speak about overcoming your insecurities. I speak about a lot of things that I find that women have allowed themselves to be impacted by and to bring them to a different mindset about it. From insecurities to inspiration, learning who you are and how you want to show up. So, yes, I'm really excited about that.
Oh, I'm glad. I am just impressed with all of this information that we're getting here this evening. I'm going to do a thing. While I'm doing this, I'm going to ask you to write that in the chat so everyone can see it, so that they will be able to go. I think I might, when I showed the commercial, it was on the commercial because I did try to pull that up because I thought it was something that was very, 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 very important for people to attend and use. So I'm gonna let you do that. I'm gonna come back to you at the end now. I'm gonna
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
I'm gonna go back to the slides because I'm gonna try to summarize uh what you've said by. I'm hoping that I have the right things here on my thing, but um the difference, now there is a difference between a life coach and a transformational coach. And what I've learned is a transformational coach tries to change things, whereas a life coach tries to improve. There is a like a little a difference there. There's a change happening with the transformational coach, but a life coach is just working on something specific that's going on. They're not changing anything. They're just trying to perfect it. So let me go back to my slide presentation. You'll still be here as well. So these are some of the top attributes of a transformational leader. So they clearly define a collective vision and a shared vision. They unite people through a common cause, emotionally connected with their followers. They lead with influence rather than authority. They ensure that the team culture is ethical. All right. So there are some benefits of practicing transformational leadership. You give that person more hope and courage. There's a real change that's going on. And I believe that there's probably going to be a strong bond that forms because you are assisting that person. And it's also going to improve the well being of an individual. And I think that it makes that um, individual, feel more safe. And then it reduces stress. And we all know that we need to have um, less stress in our life. It's not going to go away, okay? But we need to learn how to basically deal with it, with the stress. And this type of thing helps us. Now, remember at the beginning, I said that anyone, if you wanted to be, maybe I shouldn't have said anyone, but if, there are 5 ways to be a transformational leader. And if you wanted to be, and I think that maybe all of us might have a little of that. Entrepreneur, I believe, does have a little of that in it when they're doing that. But you want to create a positive vision and mission. You want to inspire and motivate change. You want to practice. Okay, you got to practice. I don't care what you do, you got to practice. Okay, to to secure or do your leadership, you got to set an example. You got to be the example, and then you've got to think of solutions along the way to help people. And I think that Mrs. Harris has given us a great insight on all of those. And so here at the end, I thought that I would give you some examples of people who are transformational leaders. I already talked about Martin Luther King and all of those, but Mother Teresa, Richard Branson, Wilson Churchill, Nelson Mandela, all of these people. Now, it was not easy for any of these people. All of these people have had a hard way to go. It's been a struggle, but they have made changes in this country. So before I'm going to go back, somebody's saying something. She's saying, Cece is saying hello.
Hi, Cece.
And so I'm going to I didn't do this at the beginning. I'm going to do it at the end. And then I'm going to go back and get some last words from our guests. And then we are going to depart. So I want to remind you, this is for Facebook. I do, you can support me by sending stars. Stars help me earn money to make content. So if you want to support me, you can support me there that way. Also, you can sponsor an episode or whatever, however you want to do it. I do have sponsorship for my podcast. And I'm going to ask that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is down here now. They have the handle on it. And I am also on other platforms. This is my Facebook. And I also do Instagram, if I can find it. Hold on. So that's my Instagram. Now, if you want to reach me, this is my bit for my website. So if you can reach me on that as well. And then my email is this, so you can reach me if you want to contact me for any reason, or you have any questions or things like that. You can contact me as well for that. So I'm going to bring our guest back on. And I also want to, before we go, I want to talk about upcoming events. So The CTR Media Network is hosting a live event. It is in May. It is in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're in that area, you can go to www.ctrmedianetwork.com and purchase your tickets for that event. Um, it should be very, very nice. And then my next guest is also a realtor, and she's written a book. Do you know her?
I am familiar with her, yes. An awesome person.
So she has written a children's book, So she will be my next guest in March. She's gonna talk a little bit about how children can learn about real estate. Okay, and
Phenomenal.
yeah, it is. And that is one of my things because I've always believed that we need to start with the babies and not exclude them because they got to function in this world as well.
That's right.
So those are the upcoming events that are coming here. And I want to let me come out of this. So we're back. So before we get off, we did good this evening. Before we get off, do you have any last words or tidbits?
Absolutely. As far as real estate goes, I am encouraging ownership, not because I'm a realtor, but in the criminal justice world, I spent the last 22 years in domestic violence court. And one of the things I saw were young people being hostage to abusers because they didn't have somewhere else to stay.
Mhm.
If our young people have their own space, that alleviates that problem because once you have a criminal background, a lot of times you cannot get a rental in your name. So if they have a space, even if it's a space that they have to work on to rehab, but a place that's their own, let them have that independence, let them have that freedom so that they are not victims and have to stay with someone that's abusing them. As far as the pageant goes, again, 21 to 91 years old, you are welcome at the Beyond Beautiful World pageant, www.beyondbeautifulworld.com. If you are interested in supporting the pageant but not being a delegate, and I'm talking to men now because women I want you to be a delegate, but for men, please be a sponsor of the pageant. We have different levels of sponsorship that are detailed on the website. Please purchase an ad or purchase tickets. That would be greatly appreciated so that you can say, I celebrate womanhood also. I have a mother, I have a sister, I have a wife, I have a daughter. So that would be greatly appreciated. As far as the Dust to Daybreak Transformational Coaching and Speaking International, the website is Ria Ray, RIARAI, speaks.com. And I can be contacted there to be a keynote speaker, to host a masterclass conversation, or to be your one on one or group coach. And lastly, under the banner of my transformational coaching and speaking business, is my first non real estate based book. The tentative title is Girl Bye 10 Lies Women Tell Themselves. It is going to discuss some of the things that women play over in their heads that aren't true and that we need to let go. I've been told that it is an in the raw conversation about girl, get your life together. But it should be released this summer, and I am super excited about that.
Well, you're gonna have to come back on here.
Yes, and you know I'll be here, girl. I will be here.
you, you got to come back with that book. We got to see, hear that book. That's going to be awesome. And
Yes, ma'am.
I am going, when it comes out, I'm going to introduce you to, because in our podcast we have book talk with
Oh, yes.
Sandy, and she interviews authors and things like that is
Let's get it. Let's go.
so I'm sure that she would be very, very interested in possibly interviewing you. And I
I
just
would
want to thank
appreciate it.
you, because this is new to me. I have not been doing this a year, and I'm enjoying it immensely. And I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. And because I believe that the only way we're going to find out things is we got to share. We've got to go back to how it was, in the old days when they had by history, it's by word of mouth. Okay. So that is, to me, we've got to help each other so that we all can live a better life. So
Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you for coming on. And to my constituents, I hope that this evening that we have inspired you, we have encouraged you, and we have empowered you to live a better life. And I always leave with my 3 L's. Don't forget to love. Well, let's start with the first one. Don't forget to live. You want to live your life. You want to live your life to the fullest. Be happy. Don't let anyone bust your bubble. And then the second one is laugh. Laughing is so good for the soul. You just don't know how much it will make you feel better. And then the last one is love. You want to love everyone, but most of all, you want to love yourself. So
That's right.
I'm hoping this evening that we have inspired you, and we'll see you next Wednesday at the same time. Have a great one.
Thank you so much, Miss Anna.
You are so welcome. Thank you. You can stay on for a little while. I'm going to just remove you from the scene from a little bit, and we are going